Hey guys, been a little while. As you can hear, I sound much better. Finally got over whatever the heck. I think it was strep throat is what it was because my voice was out of commission for such a long time. But thank you so much for all the thoughts and everything that you guys sent. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we can get back to YouTube now. I have quite a few things that I'm doing for YouTube here. So if you want to hear what they are, stay to the end of the video. But let's get into it. So today we're talking about what I really thought about all the games at TPF. Okay, so first of all, what did I think going into TPF? So I'll tell you right off the bat, as soon as I saw Pulp Fiction, I had a pretty good feeling it was for me. It's been what I've been looking for, that single level, old school style, and I took a chance on it. And so I'm selling a couple of my pins and picking up a Pulp Fiction. I'm really excited about it, but it might be a while before I see it, because it seems like CGC sometimes takes their time building games, and it's not on the schedule until later this year anyway, so it could be like into next year until I see it. But you know what? If it's built right, if it's built to like a really good quality and standard, I'm okay with waiting a little while. So I think it goes without saying that going into TPF, I was really excited to see what Pulp Fiction was all about. I was really excited about Galactic Tank Force because it was kind of campy, weird humor, and some stuff doing with cows and all that. And for some reason, it was giving me kind of like a Bally Williams vibe, and I was really intrigued to see what it was all about. And I was really excited for Foo Fighters. Okay, so first machine I saw as soon as I went in there was Pulp Fiction. And there were only 4 prototypes there. And they were prototypes. They actually said like on the stamps like Proto 1, Proto 2, and stuff like that on them. And I was very happy with the machine. Very, very happy. It's exactly what I've been looking for. It's a single level pin. It's beautiful. I did get the LE, so I'm excited about that. And it looked awesome. Like, guys, cameras do not do justice to how the lighting actually looks and how that back glass looks on this machine. In real life, it's so good. It's so damn good looking. How's it play? It's simple, but hard, because the ball's got a lot of spin and stuff in the game that I was playing. It's similar to Cactus Canyon and some games before where they have like wire guides going on the in lane. So if it hits that in lane just right, it's like a bullet coming to the flipper. So you got to be really quick about it. And you got to have really good nudging and handling skills on a pin for you to be able to like calm the ball down, take your shot, stuff like that. If you don't have those skills, you are going to get ripped in this game really quick. That happened to me the first game I played. It was like first 3 balls, 1, 2, 3 straight down within like a couple of minutes, not even that, and it was so fast. I did play it a couple more times. The line was very, very long, so I ended up waiting between, the first time was like an hour, which was really frustrating because my game ended so quickly. Second time was about 45 minutes, and then the trick I did this year that I learned, by the way, if you really want to play all the new stuff at TPF and you don't want to wait long, go during the Twippies. Just skip the Twippies, watch them later or whatever, and go during the Twippies. Everybody's in there, so like the lines get shorter. So I still waited a while. It was like 30 minutes, but everything else I was like in and out super quick. Like every other game I wasn't able to play that weekend because of like waiting in lines and all that stuff. I got in like, 10, 15 minutes on each machine, with the exception of Pulp Fiction. And just let me say, the audio, there's times I was just like standing right next to it watching people play, and I was being really annoying at one point. I had my ear right against the speaker grill so I could hear it. The audio in the thing is so freaking cool. I love it. I love everything about it. I love the topper. It's awesome. And I just watched Homegrown last night on his stream play The Hobbit, and I really desperately want to play that game. I've never really touched it, and it looks like such a fun pin. But man, he was playing for like 2 hours straight, and that is not what I want in a pinball machine anymore. I like the simpler rules. I like the open-ended rules where you can accomplish any of like 5 goals to get the wizard mode at any point in the game. It's kind of like choose your own adventure. So that's kind of where I'm going more so with my personal collection, is probably more older stuff and not so much the modern Sterns. The modern Sterns, like when I play a game with Deadpool, I can last like 30, 45 minutes. I've had a game last an hour before. It's nuts. Okay, second game I actually played that evening was Godfather. As I was going by, there was a Godfather at the Jersey Jack booth that was not being played, and I didn't see anybody there, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm playing this next. I was not looking forward to this because I'm not really into the Godfather theme. I couldn't hear much of the sound, and that's most of the case with most of the machines there. I couldn't really hear the sound very well unless you had your ear right up against the speaker and, getting a blast full in your ear hole. I was really pleasantly surprised by Godfather. Now, I saw the CE and I saw the LE, and I'll tell you, I did not like the CE. All the golden stuff, it just looked too gaudy to me. The LE, I think, is the real looker for me. JJPs a lot of times feel like the rules are very, very deep, and they're very good for home games for that. If you really want something that's going to last a while and stuff. I'm obviously not one of those people, but just speaking to the shots and stuff, there was a lot of different paths in that game, and the ball came out in a lot of different directions. Now, I personally didn't have any problems flipping. I remembered the flipper was there. It did drain on me once or twice, but once I got it kind of drilled in my head that it was there, every time it came down back down that ramp that kind of goes up and down to divert the paths, I did keep in mind it was there. There's also a couple of times I noticed that if you shoot up in there's a post that holds it for a couple of seconds, like Godzilla's magnet does or something like that, where it'll drop, or Avengers does that. It's more like an Avengers shot where the post holds it and then it comes down and you hit the flipper. It was a lot of fun. Even I, that's not that great at pinball, had one lucky plunge that led straight into a multi-ball, so it is very multi-ball heavy, or seems that way. I thought fighting the guy at the top was very cool. The little health bar in the apron is a cool little touch. So this is something I could see liking, but I'll tell you right now, any pin that goes past the $10,000 range, and JJPs are now $12,000 and $15,000, they're completely off the table for me. I will not spend that for a pinball machine brand new. Okay, one that was really good, and I'm not really surprised that it was good because I know the guy and I know he understands pinball, and he's already made one really good home pin already with Jurassic Park. But Foo Fighters, guys, is just fun. It's got that right amount of enough complexity in the rules, but simple enough to understand right away. And there's a lot of really cool shots and ideas of how to build up multipliers. There's the orbit shot into sort of the tail whip guide thing to build up your bonus multiplier, and then your playfield multiplier is hit the drop target and then the paddle target behind it. There's a lot of just really freaking cool shots in that game, and I think the only problem I would ever have with Foo Fighters is because it's such a shot heavy game. I am somebody that I like to think about what my next thing is in the game when it's stuck in the pops or something like that, and that doesn't really happen in this game whatsoever. So for me, it's almost weirdly, it drove my anxiety up a little bit in a weird way, not having anywhere where it kind of really stops for a second, besides when you start a mode or something, it does stop in those instances. I don't know how to explain it, but there was something there that I was just kind of okay, this is hitting me a little bit differently than I expected. Guys, the kicker target that we've seen in Gottlieb's back, that thing's awesome. So if the ball just kind of gets there and you kind of see it up in the upper orbit, bouncing off a couple of rubbers and stuff, and it's coming back down, you can nudge the table just right to hit its center and get it to go up that ramp. It's kind of interesting because if you learn how to nudge the table just right, you can kind of feed that kicker target just the right way to get it to hit where you want. That upper playfield on the premium is just as good, if not better, than Simpsons. You don't have to spend a lot of time up there. It's a really great way to activate multi-ball. I love the diverter. It goes up have the little stand-up target in the back of the panel of the pinball machine, the back panel there. And overall, I really enjoyed all the modes and stuff that I played. The stuff that's really missing from this I got was just animations and stuff. There are other modes and things coming to the game, but they really tried their damnedest to get the majority of the code in there, so you got a good feel of what you were going to end up getting when you bought one. As far as any other input on it, the dead post is really freaking cool. I've seen on one location so far where somebody took the Pro and added their own dead post that's permanent, so it kind of cheats a little bit. There is one difference there, where on the Premium you have the overdrive right away. On the Pro, the overdrive acts like a ball save, but you don't have it right away, you have to earn it. And the sculpts were cool looking, but also the layered plastics didn't look that bad in the Pro. So if you only had the money for the Pro, I think you're still getting a really good game. You're getting metal ramps and everything, and most of the rule set's still there. It's just some slight differences without the upper playfield. You're just hitting the Area 51 shot I think it was like 5 or 7 times or something like that to activate the multi-ball, as opposed to having an upper playfield to interact with. Believe it or not, the only time I've ever seen a James Bond has been a premium, and that's the only one I've ever played. So this is actually my first time playing a pro, and I got to tell you, if I was going Foo Fighters, I would say I'd get a premium if I could afford it. If I was getting a James Bond, I would probably go pro. And it's funny how people think differently, because I was talking to Homegrown about this, and Homegrown would have gotten the premium over to pro. And the guy with the rocket pack is a cool little gimmick, but I haven't seen him do much of anything. And talking to people, it sounds like they have a solution in the pro code where they're going to do like roaming lights as opposed to having the jetpack move around. So the modes sound like they're still mostly going to be there. I don't really see much difference in anything. Okay, so next thing I got to play was Galactic Tank Force, except I didn't because I went up to the machine. I'm like, wow, there's nobody here. And I should have read into it. The machine was broken. So that Friday I didn't get to play it. So going to Saturday, Galactic Tank Force was the first thing I wanted to play. And I was stupid excited for it. And we were actually going around playing a couple games, me and Homegrown. And let me tell you, the impression it left wasn't great at first. So I let him go player 1, I was player 2. He got all 3 of his balls. When it was my turn for the first ball coming up, the machine didn't launch the ball into the trough. So I tried to wait for ball search. Ball search never kicked in. And so then I just tried shaking the machine and I tilted out. And then the following 2 balls worked great. So the next time around, he wanted to play again, and because there's nobody there standing behind us, so we decided to take another round at it. And this time I switched around, so maybe he would get stuck with the bum game, right? So he would be player 2, and I would be player 1. Son of a bitch, my first ball didn't launch out again as we switched players. And he got all 3 balls again. So I don't know what the hell was going on with the machine, but there was that. Some of the ramp shots and stuff were fun, but honestly, there wasn't that many shots in the game, at least for my opinion. And I was really excited for it, but walking away from it, the theme is cool and stuff, but it just nothing resonated with me. And the other thing I was really expecting was sort of these campy animations and graphics. If bad is supposed to be campy, then sure, but I don't think that's the case. I was expecting this to look like model toys or something old models on fish wires and stuff going across to make the spaceships look. But they used CG, but the CG was so bad that, in my opinion, it looked like it was 3D FX, rendered on a 3D FX card using Glide from 1995 or something like that. It was not a very good looking game. Maybe Homegrown had pointed out maybe if they put a VCR filter over top, and Homegrown's actually a 3D animator for The Simpsons, and so he does this as a job, and the animation over top was just... I love the lenticular 3D effect of one of the translates they had, on their top model, whatever they call it now. I get so lost with what their models are called now because they keep changing the name of them. And the tank model that they had driving around, which isn't something you can buy. That's just something they made for the show. But that was really funny to watch and play on and stuff. So I'm kind of middle of the road. I'm going to let Galactic Tank Force kind of sit and try to get back to it on location and see if it gets any better over time. But I just don't think it's my game. Then one that was not on my radar at all because I don't really care about the cartoon is Scooby-Doo. And all the Scooby-Doos, they had all the limited editions or their highest model, and they had what they called the Butter Cab as one of them, which it's got a mirrored finish. And what I learned about Scooby-Doo, just from the look of it, this is subjective for everybody. If I could get the LE look, but at a standard price, I would pick up a Scooby-Doo in a heartbeat, because as far as the playfield and all that stuff goes, I absolutely love the look of that machine, except I don't like the way the regular cabinet looks, personally. This is coming from somebody, like I said, I don't watch Scooby-Doo. I don't know much about Scooby-Doo. I only saw it in passing when I was a kid. I was much more into Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters and stuff like that growing up. Kind of won me over. The light show is excellent. I love the art on the playfield. I love the sound effects in the game. I love a lot of the shots in the game. I was really pleasantly surprised. It did kind of trick me because I didn't realize the bookcase flipper, you have to catch the ball when you put it up on the ramp on the top. So it kind of feeds off to the side. And if the bookcase, it's this L-shaped flipper. If it's not flipped open, the ball will not catch on that flipper. If it'll just go straight past and back down again. It had some really cool modes. There's like a mode I was playing on it where you're like underwater and you need to get oxygen. So there's like a little like diver guy's head up at the top. You have to like hit for like oxygen and then keep hitting like modes at the bottom of the table and stuff like that. Very, very cool game. And it kind of reminded me of Whitewater a little bit. I don't know why, but that's the feeling I got. It was kind of like weird, corny, quirky kind of feeling like that. But in my opinion, the flippers flipped great and everything. If you like the theme of Scooby-Doo, you're going to love this pinball machine. I think it's great. If you like the mystery van and all that, you'll probably like the standard cabinet art better. It wasn't my thing. But man, the LE looks damn good. Okay, so the last time I got to play a multimorphic P3 was years ago, and it was one of the older models, and I didn't really like the way it flipped and stuff. So this is my first time to really get to sit down, and I kind of passed over at Texas last year. I shouldn't have. And this is my first time sitting down and playing a multimorphic P3. And the last time I played, the only modules that were available was Lexi Lightspeed and Intergalactic Kart Racing. I was just kind of meh on those. So since then, we now have Heist. We have Weird Al's Museum of National Hilarity. We have Final Resistance, which is the newer one that just came out. And we have Drained, which is like an independent one. And I played all those. And let me tell you guys, multimorphics come a long way. The flippers feel a crap ton better. They are still different. They're not gonna flip exactly like a normal machine, but they're still very quick. They're responsive. I could hit my shots when I needed to. And there's very few people in this industry that I can say that design pinball machines that I call friends. Scott Denisi's one of them. Jack Danger is the other one. And I know Scott killed it with TNA. And some people say this is TNA 2.0, and I see some of that DNA in there, but it's just a little bit more different enough with like all the weapons and all that. So I don't necessarily agree. It's definitely got like it's kind of weird. It's almost like a Stern in a lot of ways, in the way it shoots and stuff. But I absolutely loved Final Resistance. It was really cool, like the ball locks that they had in place. I love the spinner with like the little digital read on the bottom. I really like the way the screen was used, where it has like all like the little like kind of fake inserts and stuff for the screen. I think that looks really good. I prefer that over some of the animations and stuff in some of the other games. I got to the point with after playing Final Resistance, playing Heist, I was playing Weird Al, also not just Final Resistance, but Weird Al with Serif. And I was also playing Drained later on. All of those are absolute bangers. I love them. I love Drained. Drained is just cool. It's a 5-ball game. It's kind of old school. I love that it has like a little bell in it. It's a really neat module. And with me being an apartment dweller, honestly, like the P3 is like a really great idea. There are some things I don't like 3D printing on a lot of machines, but it is what it is. I think that's like the new norm now for making like and prototyping a lot of parts is just 3D printing now. So it's just something I think I have to like learn to deal with. It took me a little while like on Heist and Weird Al to get used to the other upper flippers being on separate buttons. But I didn't find like the buttons to be that bad. I would prefer flipper staging or like a flipper staging option on the main buttons. But it's something you can pick up and you can learn. It's not that bad. So I actually messaged Scott and I told him like as soon as I get my Pulp Fiction in-house, like P3 is probably like my next thing on the list. So good job, guys. Like you guys are killing it out of the park. I freaking loved Heist with like the crane and everything. That thing was so cool. Okay, and that leaves us with one other one, and I don't have much to say about it. Queen. From when I played, the sound on Queen was awesome. It really rocked, pun intended. But I didn't really enjoy much of the shots. I didn't really enjoy what I was playing, and halfway through Ball 2, the machine just went and shut off, and I couldn't get it back on again. So they cleared the line to work on it, and I just never went back to it. So I don't have that much to say about Queen other than based on what I was playing, I wasn't having that much fun with it. And I know it kind of sounds like I didn't have fun because the machine was broken. It sounds that way with like Galactic Tank Force. That's not the case. I've played pinball for over 20 years now. I can get a pretty good idea of what I like, what I don't like. Galactic Tank Force is really the first one that kind of fooled me in the last few years, where I thought it would be a little bit more my jam than what it actually ended up being. So it's just the way it is. These machines are very early on. Some of them are breaking. A lot of the other ones, like I didn't ever see the Pulp Fictions go down. Jack told me a couple of the Foo Fighters went down, but they were just like minor problems, nothing serious. So yeah, sometimes these machines, they're coming out so hot that they just, they break down, and that's just pinball, folks. So other than that, it was fun beating on Kerry Hardy's Last Action Hero again. This time I didn't have to shake the shit out of it like I did last time to get the ball unstuck. It was running a little bit better this year. There was a couple other games. There was a Mech Warrior that I wanted to mess around with, but it was broken down a couple times I went past it. There was a Beer Fest that I got to play once, and Homegrown played, and that was actually a pretty cool little homebrew. Other than that, this year is far as personal collector machines, it seemed like there was a lot more broken down this year. There was probably just not as many. It didn't feel like there was many there. There was probably maybe a little bit more arcade machines than there were last year. And then the thing I really loved was the pre-war section, which is all the games from the 1930s, 1920s there. And man, I played a lot of the baseball one that Jack Danger plays. I don't know the names of them off the top of my head. Army Navy was there. Apparently that's a $20,000 pre-war machine, so that's the most expensive one out there. And there were a couple other really cool ones, like a racing themed one and stuff. So it kind of opened my eyes to it a little bit. And they're so small and stuff that if I found one at a good price, I would probably pick one up. They're just fun. You can just hold a beer and just kind of all the skills in the plunger, shooting the plunger. And that was kind of satisfying. I really liked that. Oh, and I loved Fleet. Fleet was awesome. Fleet had all these little cannons on the playfield, and if you look, the ball just went in the cannon and loaded up, and then if you hit the certain spot on the top, it would actually they had little kickers in the cannon, it would kick them out. That game was really cool. I really liked that one. It was more people this year than last year. Seemed like a little bit less machines, way more newer ones this year. I don't think we'll ever see a year like this again, and it's a lot of fun being around like-minded friends and stuff like that. So overall, TPF was a success. I really enjoyed it. There was a couple other fun little stories, but unfortunately, I can't share that on YouTube. I wouldn't want to because I don't want to put anybody out in blast, but there's some funny stuff that happened that was worth going to. I've got a couple things coming up, so like I said, I'm selling some machines. So Turtles and Deadpool are going to get reviews before those go out the door. Cactus Canyon's staying, so that's going to get a review at some point, and that's going to be a half review because there's at some point entirely new code coming out for that machine, and that'll be a thing on its own, but it'll be reviewed in the state that it is right now. As far as other stuff, I want to talk about Pinball FX and its current new iteration and some of the controversy and stuff that's going on there. I want to talk about this guy. I picked this up, I pre-ordered this thing almost a year and a half ago, and it just showed up a month or two ago. And I've had some time on it. This is the Analog Pocket. It's essentially a FPGA-driven version of the Game Boy, almost. And it can play other Pocket games, too, if you get adapters. And this also uses something called Open FPGA, which makes it very possible for it to play pretty much every other retro system out there, within the 16-bit era, maybe even the 32-bit to a certain point. Okay, back to streaming very soon. Schedule should be up by start of next week, so keep a lookout for that. Link down below for my Twitch channel. And if you guys have anything you want to argue against or whatever, down below, there's the comments. And thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe and all that fun stuff that YouTubers have to say over and over and over again. All right, see you guys in the next video. Later.